What if you can imagine a certain way and then you can completely heal your anxiety and panic attacks? You don't have to spend years and years on understanding how psychology works. You don't have to spend so many dollars on your therapy. You don't have to spend so many of your time and energy and dollars on on anxiety medications. You can just understand one simple thing about how your external reality is formed by your own imagination. One of the Western mystics that I really like, that I really admire, is Neville Goddard, who has this wonderful quote: your own wonderful human imagination is Christ. Now, if you're atheist, don't be repelled by the use of the word Christ, because I'm not going to preach about religion here. When I say Christ, I'm not a Christian, by the way, I'm a Hindu. But when I say Christ, I mean something that saves you, because that is the idea of Christ, right? He is the way, He is the way to salvation, He is the only Savior. That's what Christian people tell you. So, the idea is your own wonderful human imagination is Jesus Christ. And how do you use this wonderful human imagination to heal your anxiety and panic attacks? The idea is you imagine a scenario where you have completely healed from your anxiety and panic attacks. How are you going to see your world from that point onwards? Imagine you are now completely healed. What are the things that you're now able to do? Because I'm sure, I'm 100% sure that there are things that you currently cannot do because you have anxiety and panic attacks. Maybe you don't go to certain places, maybe you don't talk to certain people, maybe you have stopped certain hobbies of yours because anxiety and panic attacks is bringing you a lot of shame in those types of activities. Maybe you're buying a lot of medications, maybe you're visiting a lot of doctors. Imagine all of them are completely solved. Imagine you're able to go to any place now. Imagine now you're able to talk to people happily. Imagine now that people treat you very differently and they're complimenting you on your new set of behaviors and attitude, and they're complimenting you on how positive and healthy and radiant you look. You know very well what are the things that you currently cannot do right now just because you're very anxious, you're very restless, and you are suffering from panic attacks. Just keep visualizing that you can do all of those things. And in those imaginary scenarios, you need to use all of your sensory modalities. Why is that? Because if you can see the things in your imagination, if you can hear people complimenting you on your imagination, if you can touch people, if you can smell things in your imagination, because that imagination, that image, that imaginary act becomes very real to your mind. When you provide sensory vividness, when you provide sensory tonalities to your imaginary act, it becomes very, very real. The latest study on neuroscience has proved that when when an imaginary act is provided with a lot of sensory vividness and it is mentally rehearsed enough times, then your brain physically changes. Can you imagine that? Your brain physically produces a different kinds of neural networks. It reflects a certain physical change just because you have been able to imagine correctly. Now, the last step to to heal from anxiety and panic attack is after you have been able to imagine all of these wonderful things, you need to feel the emotions of gratitude, emotions of joy, emotion of empowerment. And the thing is, if you have imagined all of these things very correctly, then these feelings will not be a problem for you, because if you can completely immerse yourself in this imaginary act, for example, if you can completely immerse yourself in an imagination where you are now talking to a person with no sense of anxiety, with no sense of worry, then naturally you're going to feel very happy. You're going to feel very empowered. Naturally, you're going to feel a lot of gratitude because wonderful things are happening, at least in your imagination. And your imagination is Christ. I have already mentioned that. So it's not just your imagination, it's the very thing that produces things in your external reality. It's the changes law, it's the basis from which everything emanates. So if you can completely immerse yourself in the imaginary act where you have now completely healed from anxiety and panic attacks, and you see the world from that point onwards. You see that people are now treating you differently. You hear that people are now complimenting you on how healthy, how amazing you look. You can smell different kind of foods that you previously were not eating because maybe you were on some insane elimination diet to treat your anxiety and panic attacks like a dork. I'm sorry for calling you a dork, but that is a very dorky thing to do. Maybe you can go out with people without any sense of worry. That is going to give you a lot of confidence. That is going to give you a lot of empowerment, a sense of gratitude. And these feelings are the secret. Feelings are the secret. You have to understand that. Just imagining won't produce these things. But if you're immersing yourself in this imaginary act, and if you can feel yourself completely satisfied, if you can feel yourself to be completely grateful and empowered by immersing yourself in this imaginary scenario, then these feelings are naturally going to give life to whatever you have just imagined. It's a law. You cannot change it. I challenge you to do this exercise just like I have told you, and if you can prove me false, I will stop making this video. These kinds of videos, I will stop making them. But I know you're not going to be able to prove me wrong because I know from experience, because I have done it. I have completely healed from anxiety and panic attacks in just 9 months. And I was a very difficult case. I was so restless that I could not even sit still for even 1 minute. I started from just trying to sit my body down. And when I could focus on a particular imaginary scenario, I was very happy. But you might be in a very good place than I was. Maybe you can imagine things with no effort. You can do this in just one night if you can really immerse yourself in this imaginary act and replay them over and over again till you feel a sense of empowerment and joy and gratitude. I also provide one to one coaching. So if you want to learn with me or if you want to learn more about this, then I have my Gmail information, my Telegram information, my Viber information, my WhatsApp information in the description box down below. Message me and then we can get started right away. Remember, sky's the limit. Once you truly know how to visualize and feel things correctly. Subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.